This episode of Dan 3.0 is brought to you by Squarespace. Shalom Olam. Hebrew.
Super special thanks to YouTube username Beatles Lover Ella for teaching me how to do that.
It's a kind of gray and rainy Sunday morning, and I am on my way to volunteer. That's the first continuous task you guys decided you wanted me to do, and I was gonna ride my bike, but because it's kind of a weird, awful, rainy, gray day, I mean, it's kind of nice right now, but because the weather might be a little bit unpredictable today, I am taking the bus instead of riding my bike. But I'm gonna be going to, I think it's called the Christopher Playground, and there's going to be a group of people there, I don't know, weeding and fixing up stuff on the... I don't know exactly what we're doing, but that should be fun. The volunteering's supposed to begin at 10, and I'm still waiting for the bus, and it's 9:45. Meh. Where's the bus? I see no bus. Bus. That's the wrong bus. That's not it either. The gods are just taunting me at this point. The fact that the bus was so late, though, really wasn't the bus's fault. It was probably my fault more than anything. I went to what I thought was the bus stop, and then the bus went past me, and then I went into a store and was like, hey, was that the bus stop? And they're like, no, you gotta go up a block. So then it took another 20 minutes. Man, I'm out of shape. Okay, though, I'm looking for the Christopher Playground. It should be up here, half a mile or a quarter of a mile or so. God damn it, San Francisco. Right as I'm done walking up one big hill, you give me another one to walk up. When I make it to the top, I'm gonna have to take a nap for an hour before I'm good to do anything else. So walking up that hill may very well have been the worst experience of my life, but the view, zoom, is pretty stellar. Okay, so I found it. I'm here with Megan. And Megan, what are we doing today?
Hi, so today we are clearing out the ivy that's kind of overgrowing this little hill here, and then we're also going to be pulling out some of the grass that's along the pathway.
Let's do it. So I just finished volunteering, and it was a wonderful, great experience. I'm all grody and dirty now, so I'm going to go home and take a shower, probably take a short little nap. My whole philosophy on getting footage while I was volunteering was I just set up my tripod and recorded. So I'm probably going to write out a little vlog sort of thing, and then just talk, because there's a lot to talk about. I'm excited about a lot of things. Also, walking back to the bus stop, down the hills, going down is significantly easier than going up. Go figure. Hey guys, let's vlog about volunteering. So, as you have probably gleaned from this video so far, going into volunteering yesterday morning, I really didn't have any idea what to expect. I basically just went online and found this website for an organization called One Brick, and they had a whole calendar of volunteering events that anyone could just kind of go to as long as you RSVP'd, and so I RSVP'd and then went. I also made sure that they knew that I was going to be bringing a camera, and that was kind of a weird thing. It's like, hey, I want to volunteer with you guys for the first time, but I also have a web show, and I was wondering if I could film some of it. I mean, it's just a little strange, I guess. I mean, it's not that weird. It's just sort of I didn't know what I was getting into, and they probably didn't know what they were getting into and saying, oh yeah, that's fine, go ahead and bring your camera. Anyway, I showed up, and it was great. There were probably 6 or 7 or 8 or so people there, and we spent the whole time pulling ivy that had overgrown this hillside in a park here in San Francisco. It was nice to get outside on a Sunday morning. It was nice to feel like I was doing something to help out my community, and it was particularly nice to have a bit of social contact with people that I'd never met before in this new and strange city. Because sometimes, I'm sure that a lot of you can relate to this, being in a new setting, it can feel a little bit lonely. So I got my hands dirty, I got my clothes dirty, I wore Converse All-Stars because they were the most solid shoes that I have. I definitely need to get some sort of work boots or something. But no, feeling gross feels good every once in a while, and lucky for us, the rain held off until literally as soon as we finished. As soon as we finished, it started pouring. But while we were working, I spent a lot of time talking to a guy named Rich who runs the San Francisco chapter of One Brick. And he explained One Brick to me, kind of just how they got started, their whole philosophy, and the sort of things that they do, and I explained to him him what I do and how I have found myself where I find myself today. Now, you already know the latter half of that equation, but I want to talk to you guys a little bit about One Brick, and you'll see why in a couple minutes. The way Rich explained it to me, and I'm doing this from memory, so forgive me if I get some of the details wrong, but about 10 years ago, the people who started One Brick put their heads together and were like, it's way too hard to figure out where you can volunteer. They figured that there were probably plenty of people out there who were ready and willing to volunteer who just didn't because it was way too much of a hassle to figure out how to do it. So they started One Brick, and One Brick's basic guiding principle has been to provide a simple, straightforward ways for people to volunteer within their own communities. And throughout my very brief history with them, I've certainly found that to be the case. They were definitely the most simple and straightforward institution to volunteer with that I could find. And they do all sorts of voluntary type things. They don't just spend their whole time pulling ivy. I mean, we pulled ivy, but sometimes they're at a soup kitchen, sometimes they help out with, I don't know, cancer awareness events. They help out with all sorts of things. I should probably cut to the chase here. When I explained to Rich that I was doing this as the first continuous task of Dan 3.0, that people wanted me to do this regularly, he suggested that I might want to consider becoming a manager with One Brick. So what does a manager do? Well, the way that Rich explained it to me was it's not a whole lot of responsibility, but it is some responsibility. They're required to be at least one event per month, and they are basically running that volunteering event. Like, if I was to manage a One Brick event, I would be the person holding the clipboard, signing people in at the beginning. I would be the person who knew exactly where the first aid kit was. I'd be the person who people would come to if they had any questions, just things like that. And so part of me really, really likes this idea. I mean, you guys want me to volunteer regularly anyway, and this wouldn't be a whole lot more work than that would be. And down the road, I'm thinking that this might provide an interesting way to start integrating some San Francisco Pogo Tribe members into some voluntary type things. But at the same time, I mean, this really isn't my choice to make. You guys are controlling my life this year, so this life decision is in your hands. I mean, there would be extra work involved with this, and extra work means extra time, and that's time that would not be spent on other Dan 3.0 related things. So there definitely is an argument to be made that this wouldn't be the best thing for me, that this wouldn't be the best thing for the project. So I'm gonna stay as objective as possible, and I'm just gonna ask you guys to think about it, think critically about it, like just stop and take a minute to be like, would this be the best decision for Dan Brown? That's how I imagine all of you talk, by the way. And once you've thought about it, once you've made up your mind, I want you to vote in a poll that I've created. There's a link in the doobly-doo. I'm very curious to see how this turns out, but that's that for now. Let's do sponsor time. Today's episode of Dan 3.0 has been brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace offers a flexible solution for anyone looking to build a blog, a personal portfolio, or just any kind of website. Even if you have absolutely no coding experience, Squarespace offers the tools to make your website look super duper professional. Squarespace has an iPhone app that lets users publish blogs and moderate comments on the go. They just launched a new social widget for geolocation services. Basically what that does is it publishes your location on a live Google map based off your most recent check-ins on Foursquare and Facebook Places and things like that. And Squarespace is currently the only web publishing platform with a native built-in solution for that, so that's cool. My refrigerator was making noise right there, so I shut the door. Anyway, if you start using Squarespace and you come across any issues or have any problems or any concerns, they offer 24/7 customer support to every user. So if you want to build a website but just don't quite know how, head on over to squarespace.com/pogobat to get a 2-week free trial and learn a little bit more. Anywho, that just about does it for me for today. Thank you so very much for watching this episode of Dan 3.0. I hope you'll tune in again on Wednesday for another glorious episode of Dan 3.0. In the future, actually, I mean, the people who started people out there who